I speak from my heart. I don't do really good at, making speeches or whatever. I just like speaking from my heart, my knowledge that I have, and just telling people the truth. That's who I am as Kenneth Barrett. And I was told when I started the campaign things that I had to change to be able to run for sheriff. And I said, I've been Kenneth Barrett for 48 years. I've been a police officer for 28. I'm going to tell you exactly the way I feel and what I know. And I don't mind. If I'm wrong, I'll tell you I'm wrong, and I own it. And it's all about just being truthful and upfront and honest. And that's what I want our deputies to be out here on the streets.
Well, welcome back to another episode of the Rutherford County GOP podcast. My name is Matt Harriman, here with my co-host Ross Bradley, and today we are joined by the Republican nominee for Sheriff of Rutherford County, Kenneth Barrett. And we are, first off, congratulations on your resounding primary victory. You worked extremely hard, but we're excited about this conversation because the sheriff's office plays a critical role not only in keeping our community safe, but in building trust, supporting families, and helping maintain the quality of life that makes this county such a great place to live and work and raise a family. So today, we're excited to talk about Kenneth's background in law enforcement, his vision for the sheriff's office, the challenges facing our county, and why it matters for the future of our county, why this race matters for the future of our county. So, Kenneth, thank you for joining us.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
So, Kenneth, incredible campaign. You won with 52% of the vote in a very tight race. We had three great candidates on the Republican ticket for sheriff. You end up coming out with 52% of the vote. What is it that people need to know about Kenneth Barrett beyond just the politician?
I was just born and raised here in Rutherford County, and live on fourth generation property out in Walter Hill, and I'm second generation deputy also. My dad started there in 78, which my dad passed away in 05. So just the community and the sheriff's department have been part of my life forever, and just means the world to me, and something I've always wanted to do. And me and my wife prayed on it and talked about it, and once we decided we was going to run for sheriff, we went in 100%.
And you're a girl dad too, aren't you?
Yeah, I got two girls. 21-year-old, we start med school in July, and a 15-year-old who attends at Middle Tennessee Christian School and cheers over there.
Very good. Yeah, I have a daughter at Middle Tennessee Christian as well, and so we've gotten to spend some cheer competitions together. So it's nothing like two good cheer dads together.
Exactly. It takes up a lot of time, which I have to say, when we started this, we said we didn't want to take a lot of time away from our children because we knew we'd have a lot of time in the campaign. And cheer really helped out this past year because all the practices and, it'd drop off 2 or 3 hours at a time. And that gave us time to go out and campaign, meet new people, and also pick her up, not waste time or lose time with our family.
I noticed that was one of the things, anytime you're out at a campaign event, your whole family was with you and your girls came along, and man, what a special opportunity to have them out seeing their dad, doing what you're doing. I mean, you're taking a risk to run like that is a big thing, and to have your girls with you is really, really pretty special. So that was cool to see them.
It was definitely cool to have. I knew I had to have my wife with me 100%, get to have that support, and my girls. My oldest daughter graduated in December from MTSU, getting ready to start med school, like I said. And once she graduated, she was 100% in anywhere we went or whatever we needed help with. She was there. And my 15-year-old, she won't admit it, but I think she actually enjoyed being out and meeting new people in the community also. So, yeah, it was fun for all of us.
How important was your family in your decision to run for sheriff?
It was very important. It's just one thing, the safety of the community. And like I said, we live on fourth generation property. And so I hope my girls follow up and do the same. I hope my grandbabies are raised here. And that's just to know you got a part of keeping the community safe as a police officer like I have for the last 28 years. And now hopefully be the sheriff in September. You really make an impact in the county and have a part of keeping us safe and where everybody can raise their kids and walk down the streets and go to stores and not feel in danger. That's the best thing about Rutherford County. We're big, population's huge, but it's a safe place to live.
So this was first time running for office?
First time, yes, sir.
So I'm sure that you learned a lot.
Learned a lot.
What was, probably looking back, maybe one of the most surprising things, and then maybe one of the most surprising, and then just things that you took away that you like really loved about the experience?
A lot of the surprising part was just the money and the time. How much money it takes to run a strong campaign and how much time it takes. And then I think one of my favorite things, I've made friendships through this campaign that I have for the rest of my life. People that, may only live a few miles from me that I didn't know, and everybody was like, hey, you need to get to know this person. And I did, and now, we'll go out to dinner and sit down and talk, or phone calls or whatever. Then that's something I'll take away from it that I'll have for the rest of my life, for sure. People that believed in me after they talked to me, and like, okay, we definitely want to support you, and anything you need. Just the people is very genuine, and just believed in me and my family to run for this office.
I think that's a great point, because I think have been involved in a few different campaigns and in this county, and I think for me, no matter what part I played in that campaign, I always walked away with a greater sense of pride for this community.
Exactly.
Because of the people that live here, the love that they have for the community, the love that they have for the people that they are serving with, or whatever it may be. But we do have it's a really special place here.
It really is. Rutherford County, the people is definitely from here. They love the community, and we've had a lot of people move in, and they're getting to that point like, man, y'all really have something special. People stick together, and they want you to want Rutherford County to be the best, and I think that's something that all of us need to really pull together, and then we're a lot stronger together than we are apart. And I really realized that, and people, they painted a picture up front like you'll see this, the negativity, and it was some negativity here and there, but we stuck with our course, and we said we're going to stay positive from start to end. And a few people will surprise you, who they support or may not, or some of the questions you get, and you're like, where'd that come from? But all in all, the biggest majority of the people just wants to know that you want to build the trust with the community and do what's best for the sheriff's department and the community, and that's what it's about, and that's main reason I ran.
Let's talk a little bit about your background. So obviously, you grew up around the sheriff's office essentially because of your dad's service, and so I'd venture to say that's probably where your passion for this came from. So, what experiences in your extensive career at the sheriff's office have kind of shaped how you want to approach the office of sheriff?
Yes, sir. Like I said, I started when I was 20 years old, so my whole adult life basically has been at the sheriff's department. Then before that, it's just being raised by a police officer, and all of his years of service was at the sheriff's office too. So he got hired by Craig Snell, and then Truman Jones took over, and Truman's who hired me. It's just going into starting as a detention corrections officer as a 20-year-old, and moved into patrol at 21, and then just really got out and was a real proactive police officer, trying to learn as much as I possibly could, going to any type of training that I could go to, and I just had an eye for the criminal element. And so I went into narcotics really quick. As soon as I hit my 2-year mark when I could apply for narcotics, got lucky and a position came open and moved into that. And once I got into the undercover narcotics area, just kind of pulled information from the guys that had been there for a long time, and had the opportunity to Lieutenant Chris Haynes asked me to come out on the interstate drug interdiction unit, and I loved it. That's probably one of the best divisions I ever worked in. It was you was always dealing with the worst of the worst, every single day, but it was so rewarding to stop a car and get a load of drugs out of it, or guns, or stolen property every single day that you was out there. That like, okay, this is what we're supposed to be doing. This is drugs that will never be in the hands of our children, going into our schools or affecting one of our residents' lives. It could be going to another state, but eventually it's going to trickle back down to us, and some of it was coming to Murfreesboro. So yeah, it was definitely that. And then the K9 stuff, did that for years, and crime suppression. I headed that up for a while and handled a dog working crime suppression. It's basically the same thing as we did on the interstate, was just doing inside the county and the city. A lot of hotel, motel type interdiction work, stopping cars inside the county, arresting people with warrants, just a lot of high speed stuff that was a lot of agencies from adjoining counties would call and say, hey, can y'all go look for this guy? And we was really good at it, finding people and taking the bad guys off the streets and keeping the county safe. It makes you feel good. Yeah.
Well, so we were talking a little bit earlier, and I think it's incredible the amount of experience you have, both from your father and then your years in office as an officer. Tell us, we were talking a little off camera about what it's like going into, the office or going into the department after you have won the primary, and kind of interacting with the guys and stuff. And, anytime you have change, that can be stressful for the guys that are working for the sheriff's department. What message would you want to share to the guys that are there today about what they can expect as you come in as sheriff, assuming you make it through this general?
Yes, sir. I just want everybody to go to work right now. Sheriff Fitzhugh's there. He's done a great job. And I'm a lieutenant on patrol still. And hopefully September I'll take office. Granted, I have a different vision and I want to see us move forward. But at this point, I want everybody to just come to the Sheriff's Department, do your job, and make us be the best we possibly can be. And we're going to put the right people in the command styles to really move us forward. And hopefully everybody will have the same vision to go that direction. And once we take office, that's what it is having a vision and goals to move forward to reach that level. We're one of the top agencies in the state and one of the biggest counties, so we got to start acting like it and training our people and using our ideas to start retaining deputies, so we will be one of the best agencies in the state and save the taxpayers money on training officers.
You kind of touched on something, and I was having this conversation with somebody recently, but I mean, obviously the past 5-6 years, I think culturally it's been probably way more difficult to be in law enforcement than any time ever in our history of the country. And
yes,
so, because I literally had somebody ask me, he's like, well, how do you feel about law enforcement? I said, well, back the blue, man. It's like, but 4, 5, 6 years ago, I mean, there wasn't really a back the blue like campaign because everybody just did.
Right.
And so, I'd love to hear what your message is too, even outside of just the sheriff's office, but what would you tell to people outside of law enforcement who often misunderstand the profession?
Great question. I think a lot of people lose contact that we are human. Police officers are human. It's a job for us, it's a career, and I think that's where they only come into contact with us when it's a serious incident taking place. And it might be this person's worst day of their life, and it's something that police officers see day in, day out. And they may not show the emotions that they should show, and people may not think we care about it as much, but we do. And it's just that you have to deal with it because you see it so much every day, and it can't just take and eat away at you. And it does, but you got to have some way. I always say everybody's got a cup, and everybody's cup fills up at a different time. And police officers has got to dump that cup out. If they just hold that in, it's going to overflow, and it's going to cause them not to want to do their job and not be a great police officer. And we got to figure out ways that the community understands that these guys, we do love the community and we do want to help. And that's the reason I think community-oriented policing is huge with us, to be out there in contact at ball games, at any type of event that takes place out here in the county or the city, where we can interact as just a normal person and not under that role. Because, whenever you're out at a crash, whether it be a simple bumper-to-bumper crash, but a lot of days that's the worst thing that could happen. That person, their vehicle's tore up, and, here we are. It's something we do all the time, but that person is upset about it. So we need to really work hard at being part of the community when we're not actually on the call. Yeah. And that's huge. That's something I've always tried to do, is really be approachable to people, whether it's on duty or off duty, and let them know, hey, I'm just I'm Kenneth Barrett. That's who I am. When it comes time to take action, I'm ready for it. And that's what young deputies have got to understand too: is don't let the job identify who you are. I think just be friendly, fair, and firm. I think that's kind of a golden rule for law enforcement. It's something I've always lived by. You treat people the way you want to be treated, but you got to be firm with them too. So it's just that's part of it.
So part of your job is going to be working with other departments, right? You've got the city of Murfreesboro and the town of Smyrna, and then MTSU's police department. What does that look like, kind of working together with all those different agencies or departments to kind of?
I think it's very, very important to work together with all the neighboring agencies and have a good working relationship. If something big happens in their city, they need to call us and we can come down and just work with them and not step on their toes, be there. And if we're calling them, asking for assistance, same thing, they can come and work with us. And it's all about communication throughout the year. I would love to have a monthly meeting with the chiefs and just maybe have lunch and sit down and talk about what we can do to make those relationships stronger. And over the years, we've grown so much, we kind of lost that contact. And I think it's time that we need to start working together more to make us stronger. And when I was a young deputy, I knew everybody at Murfreesboro Police Department. We'd be on traffic stops together, or calls together, and just over the years, they've grown so big. We've grown so big, and we're so busy, we don't have a chance to make that. But I think we intentionally got to come together and come with a game plan, whether it's traffic enforcement or something. Okay, we're going to get this together and we're going to go out and do this task force today. We're going to enforce these laws. That way those guys get a chance to work together and get to know each other better, for sure. And different types of events like we're talking about at the churches and the schools, get to know each other, because we're going to need to work together at some point.
So you just touched on this. Obviously our county continues to grow rapidly, and with growth comes all kinds of I don't want to say problems, because where I come from in rural West Tennessee, we'd love to be dealing with these things, or at least where I came from. But obviously one of those challenges that growth impacts is public safety and law enforcement operations. So kind of talk about that and maybe some ideas that you have around how to address those things, at least from like the sheriff's office perspective.
Right. And I think the biggest part is the traffic. The traffic's so bad here in Rutherford County. What used to take you 10 minutes to get from out where I live in Walker Hill to Murfreesboro, now it's a 25 or 30-minute drive if you're lucky, if you don't hit traffic at all. And that's one thing we have to really look at is how we can get the traffic better. And COVID changed a lot with the traffic. People were always in a rush, and law enforcement was being told, minimum amount of contact with people, and people were staying at home, working from home. So the roadways was a lot more open then. So people just drove the way they wanted to drive. And we really got to make a stance known that we're out going to start stopping cars more, being more proactive instead of reactive. And letting people know, hey, we got speed limits, and this is, you will get citations. A lot of people think the sheriff's department, we don't write citations, but we do. We have radars and things like that. Those days are long gone, and we have the technology that's what we do. And our guys, we just got to let them know, hey, you're going to be back. Go out here and enforce it. And a lot of times education is good. If you can stop a car and you talk to them and write them a warning and get them to slow down, it's accomplished. Your task is accomplished. But if the same thing happens 2 or 3 times, it's probably time to take a different avenue and get a citation. And that's just something we got to work at. We got so much traffic here, and we have a lot of fatal crashes, a lot of very serious crashes, and we got to make a stance and make it known that we are going to try to make our streets safer for traffic.
I think the growth is interesting because it's obviously not just happening in Rutherford County; it's happening all over Middle Tennessee. Certainly, Metro Nashville being just to the north of us. They don't police the same way that Rutherford County does. How much of that overflow from Nashville gets into Rutherford County, and does that impact the way you would run the sheriff's department?
Yeah, and I think it goes back into being proactive. We definitely have to go out and start looking for the criminal element for sure. And that goes into stopping cars and looking for the guns and the drugs and things like that, because it bleeds over from Metro Nashville. They'll come down here with trying to sell their drugs to our people and get it on our streets. And we have a great narcotics unit, and they do an outstanding job by taking those drugs off the street. But we also got to keep our patrolmen trained, and that's where it's retaining people, getting knowledge and getting more experience where they know what they can stop, how they can stop them, how they can search the cars without violating someone's rights. And that's all about training and keeping good, experienced officers.
And there's so many people that coming down 24 every day that are coming right through our community that from all over the place. So definitely creates some interesting dynamics for how we police our community.
Exactly. And that's go back to what we was doing years ago out on the interstate. We had a reputation that people would avoid I-24 because we had a reputation. And I think we remember when we was kids, Smyrna had a reputation. If you hit Smyrna city limits, you slowed down. If you was 5 mile an hour over speed limit, you was probably getting a ticket in Smyrna. And it's all about building that reputation, letting people know you will enforce the law and will take action.
Talking a little bit about, I-24 and traveling between communities, and obviously, at least prior to this past presidential election, there was tons of talk about drugs coming in from Mexico and into the states and into Tennessee. And so, how has that problem, especially with fentanyl, has that gotten better, or is that something that you still is like a focus area for you as sheriff? That it's going to have to be because of the problem that it still may be.
Granted, we're showing by numbers that we have less overdoses now than we did a few years back. And me personally, I don't think we have less overdoses. I think more people carry Narcan, less overdoses are reported. That's my personal opinion. And because anybody that's potentially going to use any type of drug, fentanyl or whatever, them and their friends, they carry Narcan now, and instead of calling 911, they Narcan their friend and they're back up and going. So we're getting less reported. But on the flip side, our narcotics guys are constantly out here enforcing and doing undercover stings and buys and search warrants and things like that, still seizing lots of drugs and money and guns, anything to do with illegal activity. So it's still here, and we just got to keep enforcing it and staying very, very proactive on the knocking it down for sure. We'll never stop it. I mean, if somebody says they're going to stop the drug, it's not going to happen. It's too much money involved. But we have to keep working very proactively on slowing it down and getting the dealers off the streets and keeping our kids and families' hands.
So another thing, I guess, and Rutherford County's actually done this for a long time, but I know the state several years ago decided to fund, I guess, all counties to have an SRO. Obviously school safety seems to be at the front of every parent's mind. When they drop their kid off, they plan on picking that kid up.
Yes.
And so what role can the sheriff's office continue to play in that space? And I mean, really, Rutherford County has led there because of how long have we had SROs?
30 years.
Yeah, I mean, I thought when that conversation was happening in Nashville that, I mean, we were one of the longest counties that has done it.
Yes.
Which I think is great that, within our state, people continue to look to Rutherford County for ideas and on how we're doing lots of different things, especially at the sheriff's office.
Right. SROs, I think it was 95. So last year would have been 30 years that we started the SRO program, which was under Truman Jones' administration. Probably one of the best programs we ever started. And it's only grown. And now the high schools have numerous SROs, middle schools, and all the way down to the elementary school. And it's just it's a good feeling when you drop your kid off. You got a police officer there that's well-trained that can take care of any type of incident that's there. And it is sad that we have to have, police officers in schools, but that's just reality. We see shootings and things that take place all over the United States, and you got to be prepared for it. And they're well-trained. They're very well-respected, and they're there for the children, too. It's a lot of, I sit in a lot of our interviews for new hires, and a lot of times we say, well, why do you want to be a police officer? And a lot of times it's due to their SRO that they had contact with is some incident that happened, and they said, that's what changed their mind and wanted to make them start looking into law enforcement because they really looked up to their SRO. And looking back, I graduated in '96 from Oakland, and our SRO there, I was like, yeah, I can see that. My dad's a police officer, but I can definitely see the things that my SRO did. It's like, man, that's pretty cool. You helped this kid accomplish this. It's not just about enforcing the law. It's, getting them pointed in the right direction and mentoring them at that stage of their life so it can start, from elementary school all the way through high school.
Which is amazing. I mean, we have 51,000 kids in the Rutherford County school system that the SRO program is responsible for keeping safe. And I mean, it's a great opportunity for mentorship. I mean, I appreciate you bringing that up because, those are that 51,000, those are new kids every year that are coming through that system. And that's a lot of future citizens that are gaining that experience being around the officers. So
yes, and if they go into work and they're doing their job like they're supposed to, they're interacting with those kids every single day. They're seeing them probably as much as their parents are after. You figure, ball practice and school and homework and everything. So the teachers and the SROs are seeing the kids just as much as the parents a lot of times. So they will be a mentor for them, and they're out being honest and treating the kids good and helping them with any questions they have. They'll look at law enforcement differently down the road. Now, if you have a bad one, and that can also work on the flip side. They might be like, well, they treated me wrong on this incident, but I feel real strongly about our SRO program. We got really, really good officers in the schools, and they're held accountable for the job they're supposed to be doing.
We touched on this earlier about the fact that you're working with other departments within Rutherford County beyond just the sheriff's department. But I think in that, there's a lot of recruiting and retaining employees, and there's constantly this who's paying the most. How do we focus on retention and making sure that our officers across the whole county are being compensated in a fair way compared to everybody else?
I think it goes back into communication with our county commissions and valuing your employee. Everybody wants the best deputy to show up at their house when they're needed, but when it comes down to it, we gotta treat them like they're the best. We gotta value them, and that's where communication with the county commission and the mayors, we need to start treating our employees across the board in Rutherford County and value them, let them know they're respected and we want to keep you, because it costs us a lot more money when we lose a 5-year deputy that goes to a different agency to make more money, where you can pay them a little more money up front and retain that knowledge and experience and not have to hire and train new deputies come in. So that's my goal, is just to build a very positive professional culture and try to get the morale up. And people will work for a little less money if the culture's good and they know they're being respected and valued as an employee. And I think that's part of it. It's just letting your people know that you care about them and you're going to stand up for them and build that trust. The same way building the trust with the community, you got to build the trust with your employees also.
Yeah, obviously county commission is a big deal because they set your budget every year, right?
Yes,
so
sir.
They're the funding mechanism for the sheriff's department. I've heard officers come up and say, I wish we had a better relationship with our county commission. I've noticed that you have spent a lot of time really getting to know all of those county commissioners, and you're still working on that, I know. Talk to us a little bit about that. What does that look like in the future?
I would love to get to know more of the county commissioners. I have during my campaign, got to know several and talked to them. And I think it's got to be presented to them. And I think they got to understand that they have got to help take ownership on our employees to do the value and them and let them know they're important. We want to keep you here at Rutherford County. And it's all about presenting numbers and making them realize that, hey, y'all me as sheriff, yes, I can build the culture, I can build the morale, and I can tell you why we need more people, we need more money, or need this type of equipment. But the county commission's got to take buy-in also, saying, okay, yes, this is why we need this. And that's the reason I'm going to want to do a monthly either podcast or release by Facebook, social media, that show what Rutherford County Sheriff's Department did every single month. That way the community knows, okay, they're out here, they're working hard, they're being busy. And then if you go in front of the county commission and ask for a raise or a piece of equipment or more people, hopefully the community will take buy-in also and contact their county commissioner and say, hey, I feel strongly about this. I think they need this, and in that way, the commission knows that the community's taking buy-in, and they agree that we need that person. Or
you're going to need a new jail, so that's going to be a big deal.
Yes,
and that's going to be probably one of the biggest things in the budget.
Yes, sir.
In the next year or two.
Yes, sir. New jails. Here, and it's going to be like 400 million, 350 million. So, yeah, it's going to be huge, and nobody wants their taxes to go up. So that's going to be a big conversation with the mayor and financial director and the county commission to see what we have to do to get that accomplished.
Let's talk a little bit about that problem, because some folks may not be familiar with it. So it's really an overcrowding issue more than anything, right?
It is, and the structure. In my understanding, the structure is crumbling and it's sinking at the jail.
Yeah, I had, the jail is such a big deal when it comes to our future budgets and how we manage that. And I think getting the right connection between the sheriff's department and county commission and the mayor's office, I think is going to be huge in the future. And as you mentioned, $350 to $400 million. I mean, that's a significant budget item. And the last thing we want is taxes to go up. So I appreciate you taking the time to sit down and work with those guys to navigate that process.
Yeah, we'll definitely have lots of meetings on it to see exactly what we want, what we need, and hopefully we can design the jail with the technology and stuff and maybe make it to work a lot easier on corrections deputies there at the jail. And that when you're working somewhere where you have the nice equipment that you need to make your job easier, hopefully that'll help retain officers also, and maybe cut down on needing so many officers if you're using technology to help you do your job more efficiently. And that's where it goes back into retaining the deputies in there also, is you're going to gain that knowledge and not have to keep spending more money by training new corrections guys to come in to fill those spots.
I think it's interesting. You said you started your career out in corrections. So,
yes,
just as well as anybody does what's needed for that role. So
it's definitely important. And Sheriff Jones was very big on starting young guys out in corrections. And we've got away from that over years. And I've seen pros and cons to it. It all depends on the person. We can interview a guy that's ex-military and he can hit the streets and, get his training as a certified guy and be really, really good to go. Then you may have a young guy that's never been involved in anything. He needs that. He needs that experience in a more controlled environment to learn how to de-escalate, talk to inmates, and have some backup right there, right with him, and help coach him through, mentor him how to handle situations. And it does make you a better deputy when you hit the streets, and also you're learning the people, inmates, and when you get on the street, those indicators that they show you inside the jail, you're also picking up out on the streets that's where it's not a controlled environment.
So tell us, let's kind of shift a little bit as we kind of start to wrap this up. Why should voters in the general election vote for Kenneth Barrett?
All right.
Give us your elevator pitch.
I got you. Well,
you got that down.
Yeah. Like I said, I've been in the Sheriff's Department 28 years and second-generation deputy. I love the Sheriff's Department. I love the community, and I definitely want us to be the best in the state. And I've worked as hard as I think anybody can say in this campaign, and I want to work that hard as your sheriff. I want to be approachable. I want to build the trust with the community. That's huge. And just hold the community accountable, hold the agency accountable, and build that trust within the agency also, and just be very transparent. That's the communication and transparency is huge. So as your sheriff of Rutherford County, I promise you I'll work as hard as I have in this campaign to make the agency the best for the community and help retain officers. And listen, a lot of times you'll get some of the best information from someone from the outside that can help you. And that's me. I love talking and listening. But the biggest thing why you should vote for me is I want to take the Sheriff's Department and make us the best in the state and make the community proud. When they see a detective or SRO or a patrolman driving down the street, I want them to know that's a well-trained deputy. And if he shows up at my house, he's going to do exactly what he needs to do. And he's going to, like I said, the 3 L's earlier, friendly, fair, and firm. That's what you got to do. Just treat people with dignity and understand that today may be the worst day, and that's just got to roll in, just be very compassionate with people.
So if listeners were curious, you obviously are going into the general in August. If they want to know more about your campaign or get involved in your campaign, how can they go about doing that?
They go Kenneth Barrett for Sheriff on Facebook, any social media, website. If you have one of my cards, you can scan the QR code. It'll take and show you anything. And I'll answer phone calls. I'll be at most events that take place in Rutherford County. If you see me, just come up and talk to me, and you can give me a call or shoot me a message on social media, and I'll try to respond back to you.
This guy is everywhere. Like during the primary, you were everywhere. I can't imagine. You must have never gotten to go home. You said when I talked to you last week, you said, "Hey, I've got to go out of town for a few days and recoup." So. I know you're getting ready to hit it harder again going into the general, but props on you. You've been out in the community. You've heard from a lot of folks, and I think that's what's made the difference for you.
I think so. Just I speak from my heart. I don't do really good at making speeches or whatever. I just like speaking from my heart, my knowledge that I have, and just telling people the truth. That's who I am as Kenneth Barrett. And I was told when I started the campaign things that I had to change to be able to run for sheriff, and I said I've been Kenneth Barrett for 48 years. I've been a police officer for 28. I'm going to tell you exactly the way I feel and what I know. And I don't mind. If I'm wrong, I'll tell you I'm wrong, and I'll own it. And it's all about just being truthful and upfront and honest. And that's what I want our deputies to be out here on the streets.
Well, you can learn a lot about a gentleman by the people that follow around him. And anywhere you went, you always had a large congregation of folks that were all supporting you. And they were the nicest folks, and they were super loyal. And so that just tells me about your character and the type of person you are, that they would be willing to follow you around and support you the way they did. You could tell they really cared about you, and that was contagious. And so it was neat seeing how you went through that with the campaign.
Sure. A lot of those guys was also employees at the sheriff's department. And it takes a lot for a person to put, their self out there like that. It's one thing, me putting myself out there because I'm running for sheriff, but when you got other guys and girls that's putting themselves out there, and because they believe in you, they want to see a change, and they believe in your style of leadership, and that's what being a servant leadership. And that's the way I've always led my people. It's like, hey, I want to build you up to make you get to your goals, and that's part is being a sheriff. And they know that's the way I'm going to lead that too. I'm going to be the same person once September the 1st happens, step into that seat. It's all about getting the people behind you to step up in that level. I'm not going to be around forever, so I want to build the sheriff's department up and the deputies and get them to the point where they can take charge and continue the sheriff's department in the right direction to be the best in the state.
We're cheering you on, and anything that our party can do and the extension of it, we're here to do it to help you get across the finish line.
Well, I appreciate it. I think I just love to see my opponents that run in the Republican primary. I would just love to see their supporters get behind me, help push me across the line. And I understand, we had 3 of us in it, and I got lucky and won. And I think it is from the hard work, but I would love to have all Republican support going into this general. It would be awesome. And if you need to talk to me or reach out, please do so. I'll answer any questions you have.
The Republican turnout was 79% of the vote in the primary. It was a significant part, but there's a few districts in the county the votes are really tight, that Republicans can win those seats that we haven't controlled before, but it's only if everybody turns out. And so I appreciate you saying that, because we need everybody that voted last time to come out again and bring your friends, and let's make sure that we keep Rutherford red. So
I think I've been asked a lot of questions like, do you have to go re-vote? I think a lot of people really need to be educated on yes, you vote in the primary, then you have to go back and vote again in the general. And I took it for granted just because I voted, but I think it's something we're going to push hard on our social media and things to let people know we definitely need you to come out. And I think early voting starts July the 17th through August the 1st. Then August the 6th will be the actual general. So if it's anything I can ask for, please come out and vote for your Republican candidate in your area, and definitely for me for sheriff.
Thank you for saying all that. We appreciate you joining us today. I know you have an extremely busy schedule, and you're really doing two jobs right now, and we thank you for it. Our community's better because of people like you, and so thanks for all you've done. I hope you enjoyed this podcast today. Make sure you check out Kenneth's social media pages. Make sure you go to his page, support his campaign. He is our Republican nominee for sheriff, and it's so important that we keep good guys like this in office and support them. And so thank you for checking us out today. Make sure you leave us a comment. We'd love to hear from you. If you have questions about how you can connect with Sheriff, let us know. We'll be happy to connect you, but we look forward to seeing you next time.